Sydney's skyline may sparkle with the Opera House and Bondi Beach, but the city's next great gateway is rising far from the harbor. At Badgerys Creek, 44 kilometers west of the CBD, Western Sydney International Airport is taking shape, a $20 billion project designed to relieve the congestion and curfew restrictions of Kingsford Smith Airport. With 24/7 operations, smart technology built in from the ground up, and architecture inspired by the Blue Mountains, the airport is pitched as a model for the future of aviation. Yet the question remains, will it fulfill its promise or become one of Australia's most expensive missteps? A century of strain at Kingsford Smith. Since 1920, Sydney Kingsford Smith Airport has been the beating heart of Australian aviation. Conveniently located just 8 kilometers from the central business district, its position has always been both its greatest strength and its most crippling weakness. Surrounded on all sides by suburbs and waterways, the airport has no room to grow. Expansion proposals have consistently run into the immovable wall of geography and urban density. Compounding this is the infamous Sydney Airport Curfew Act of 1995, which prohibits most aircraft movements between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. While emergency flights and small propeller planes are permitted, the curfew means Sydney effectively shuts down overnight, a peculiar limitation for a city aspiring to be a global hub. Even before the pandemic, annual passenger numbers at Kingsford Smith had soared beyond 44 million, far surpassing the airport's comfortable capacity. With Sydney's population expected to climb above 6 million by 2030, the squeeze was rapidly becoming untenable. Talks of a second airport began as early as the 1980s, with Badgerys Creek emerging as the most suitable site. But decades of political indecision, community opposition, and environmental concerns left the project stuck in limbo. It wasn't until 2014 that the federal government finally gave the green light, breaking a stalemate that had endured for over 40 years. Construction began in 2018, and in 2019, the long-debated project was officially christened Western Sydney International Nancy Bird Walton Airport in honor of the pioneering Australian aviator, a purpose-built gateway for the 21st century. Unlike Kingsford Smith, which has been forced to adapt over time, Western Sydney International is being designed from the ground up as a next-generation aviation hub. Its site covers an astonishing 1,780 hectares at Badgerys Creek, offering the rare luxury of space in a city choked by density. Phase 1, slated for opening in late 2026, will initially handle around 10 million passengers annually. Yet its master plan is deliberately ambitious, with room to expand into a mega hub capable of serving over 80 million passengers a year and managing more than 500,000 tons of freight. At the heart of the airport is a 3.7 kilometer Code F runway, purpose-built to welcome the largest aircraft in service, including the Airbus A380 and Boeing's next-generation 777X. This runway is no ordinary strip of asphalt. It has been engineered with multi-layered paving systems, reinforced drainage, and an intricate network of more than 3,000 LED airfield lights to ensure safe, reliable operations in all weather conditions. Surrounding it, the terminal has been designed to be as flexible as it is striking, with 16 gates that can swing between domestic and international flights, ensuring adaptability as travel patterns evolve. Technology woven into the fabric of the airport. Perhaps the most defining feature of Western Sydney International is not its size, but its brains. Unlike legacy airports that struggle to retrofit new systems, this airport is embedding innovation into its DNA from day one. Artificial intelligence will power its baggage systems, capable of processing thousands of bags per hour with precision. Australia's first fully remote digital air traffic control tower will oversee its skies, replacing the traditional tower with cutting-edge off-site monitoring. Passengers will experience journeys unlike anything Sydney has seen before. Biometric check-ins and contactless processes are set to replace queues and paperwork. Real-time crowd analytics will help airport managers direct passenger flows, reducing bottlenecks and ensuring smoother transit through terminals. By embracing this suite of smart technologies, Western Sydney International is positioning itself as a seamless, futuristic gateway where travelers spend less time waiting and more time moving. Building with sustainability in mind. At a time when aviation faces mounting scrutiny over its carbon footprint, Western Sydney International is making sustainability one of its guiding principles. Over 8,800 solar panels will provide clean energy. Rainwater harvesting systems will reduce reliance on main supply, and native landscaping will restore biodiversity to the site. Energy-efficient materials and construction practices are being employed to achieve a coveted 5-star Green Star rating. Equally important is the airport's commitment commitment to accessibility and inclusivity. Wide walkways, intuitive navigation, and universal design ensure that every passenger, regardless of ability, can move through the airport with ease. By weaving sustainability and inclusivity into its fabric, the airport is setting a standard not just for Australia, but for airports worldwide. The price tag. The financial scale of Western Sydney International is staggering. The core airport infrastructure alone, runway, taxiways, terminal, and support systems, is expected to cost around $5.3 billion, fully funded by the federal government. But that figure tells only part of the story. To function as a true global hub, the airport relies on a vast web of supporting infrastructure projects that push the total investment far higher. These include the $11 billion Sydney Metro Western Sydney Airport Rail Link, co-funded by federal and state governments, and more than $4 billion in road upgrades under the Western Sydney Infrastructure Plan. The New South Wales government is also contributing $2.7 billion to local road projects, while federal and state sources are jointly funding a further $1 billion for the 15th Avenue corridor. On top of this, private players such as UniSuper and ISPT are injecting billions more into logistics hubs adjacent to the site. All told, the combined public and private commitment exceeds $20 billion, cementing this as one of the largest infrastructure undertakings in Australian history. Construction milestones and progress. Transforming Badgerys Creek into an aviation gateway has required an effort of colossal proportions. Since 2018, the site has witnessed one of the largest earth-moving operations in Australian history, with more than 25 million cubic meters of soil relocated to prepare the ground. Today, much of the heavy lifting is already complete. The runway, with its lighting, taxiways, and navigation systems, has been finished. The terminal's superstructure was finalized in early 2024, and work has shifted inside, focusing on baggage systems, mechanical infrastructure, and retail fit-outs. The airport's cargo precinct and on-site fire station are under construction, while utility services, substations, and access roads have already been installed. This enormous effort is being delivered by a consortium of industry giants, including Bechtel, CPB contractors, Lend-Lease, and Multiplex. Crucially, the project is closely coordinated with external infrastructure such as the M12 motorway and the Sydney Metro line, ensuring that by the time passengers arrive, the airport will be more than just a runway. It will be the centerpiece of a fully integrated transport network. The challenges that loom. Of course, no project of this scale escapes controversy. One of the most pressing issues is transport connectivity. Although the Sydney Metro Western Sydney Airport line is considered a flagship project, it will not open until mid-2027, potentially leaving the airport's first year of operations without a critical rail connection. Critics warn this could hurt passenger convenience and dampen demand during the airport's vital debut phase. Environmental concerns have also cast a shadow. The site is home to endangered species, and while biodiversity offset programs have been introduced, environmental groups argue that they fall short of meaningful conservation. Noise pollution is another flashpoint, with estimates suggesting that more than 80,000 residents could be impacted by aircraft noise once the airport is fully operational. Meanwhile, questions about the economic viability of the surrounding aerotropolis development linger. High infrastructure fees have raised concerns about deterring private investment, potentially slowing the grand vision of transforming Western Sydney into a thriving economic hub. Why it still matters. Despite the criticisms, Western Sydney International represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Australia. By allowing 24/7 operations, it overcomes the curfew that has long throttled Sydney's aviation growth. It will ease pressure on Kingsford Smith, enabling smoother operations for passengers and airlines alike. The dedicated cargo precinct is set to strengthen supply chain resilience and supercharge export capacity across the Asia-Pacific. Perhaps most importantly, the airport will be an economic engine for Western Sydney, creating tens of thousands of jobs and reshaping the region's identity. Airlines are already buying into the vision. Qantas, Jetstar, Singapore Airlines, and Air New Zealand have confirmed they will operate from the new airport, with more international partnerships under negotiation. From day one, passengers can expect a travel experience defined by efficiency, innovation, innovation and convenience. A future built to expand. Looking ahead, Western Sydney International is designed not just to meet current demand, but to grow with it. Plans are already in place for a second runway and expanded terminals, ensuring that the airport can scale to accommodate tens of millions of additional passengers over the coming decades. The surrounding aerotropolis, if realized, could become a hub for advanced manufacturing, logistics, and technology industries, placing Western Sydney at the forefront of national growth. In this sense, the airport is more than an infrastructure project. It is a symbol of how Australia envisions its future: globally connected, economically competitive, and technologically advanced. And that's the story of Western Sydney International Airport, Australia's $20 billion bet on the future of aviation. If you found this deep dive interesting, don't forget to hit that like and make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.